For more on Nvidia and how the chips are trading right now, Seema Modi is tracking that action for us. Seema.
Nearly $600 billion in market cap yesterday. It's up about 1% at this hour. The stock is now trading about 43% below the average price target on Wall Street. A number, of course, analysts weighing in this morning on the direction of Nvidia going forward. Morgan Stanley actually cutting their price target from $166 to $152, citing possible further export controls, while Mizuho's Jordan Klein calls Nvidia's move quote, overreaction. Two things will act as catalysts for the semi-trade going forward. One is how Microsoft and Meta justify their AI budgets to shareholders in light of DeepSeek's lower cost model, and any update from Washington and President Trump's plans to tariff or add restrictions on chip sales. We spoke to Atlantic Council's Mark Christopher, who highlights a few options that they have, including expanding the entity list of Chinese firms banned in the U.S. and denying Chinese companies access to U.S. cloud providers like Amazon, which developers there use to rent NVIDIA GPUs. Evercore ISI adds that NVIDIA and AMD have been hoping that Trump would soften the Biden administration's new licensing requirements that require to sell to over 100 countries. That does go into effect in April. But they add that this whole DeepSeek revelation might add a new complication to those efforts. So the focus very much not just on AI budgets, but again, what Washington can do here.
Some Wall Street analysts believe that Monday's DeepSeek-driven sell-off may present a chance to purchase battered AI equities. Nvidia and numerous other AI-related companies fell, causing the tech-heavy Nasdaq composite to drop more than 3% after an app from the Chinese AI startup DeepSeek overtook one from OpenAI as the most downloaded free U.S. app. Concerns regarding the demand for the requirement of pricey AI technology are the root cause of the decrease, as DeepSeek's model performs comparably to its American counterparts while consuming less processing power. A few Wall Street observers sensed a chance to profit from the decline. Wedbush analysts referred to owning Nvidia, along with Microsoft, Alphabet, Palantir, and other major players in the American AI ecosystem, as a golden buying opportunity. Major U.S. firms are unlikely to employ a Chinese startup like DeepSeek to establish their AI infrastructure, according to the analysts, who deemed the company's achievements outstanding. They also added that launching a competitive LLM model for consumer use cases is one thing. Establishing more extensive AI infrastructure is a whole other matter, and nothing in DeepSeek leads us to assume otherwise. Analysts at Bernstein referred to the market's response as exaggerated, and stated that they still have a positive opinion of the AI stocks they cover, especially Nvidia and Broadcom. Both companies, along with Qualcomm and Applied Materials, were nonetheless rated as outperforming by Bernstein. Recent AI spending initiatives, including as President Trump's announcement of a $500 billion AI infrastructure project named Stargate, indicate the ongoing need for cutting-edge U.S. chips, according to Citi analysts who kept their buy recommendation for Nvidia. So, what implications does this have for Nvidia's stock? Let's explore that. But first, a big thank you to those of you who've stuck with us this far. Creating these videos takes significant effort and dedication, so if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts on Nvidia stock in the comments. Your support truly helps us grow. Now, let's get back to the video.
We're taking a look at Nvidia, Andy. All right, that stock down 16%. It is being absolutely rocked on the heels of this news about DeepSeek. This is China venture developing this open source large language model for a fraction of the cost. It's like when I looked at the Apple App Store, and Kevin pointed this out earlier, it is at the top. It's still at the top of the downloaded apps list. Now, ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT is number 2 today. But what do you make of all this, Andy?
Well, I think it's a mistake to just accept the claim that this was done at a fraction of the cost. When I first heard the news, the first thing I did was go into DeepSeek, which is a phenomenal AI tool, and asked it to have a conversation with me about Tiananmen Square, and it would not do that. So, this is a company that is owned and controlled in some way by the Chinese Communist Party, not exactly known for being forthright with its disclosures. And so I think we can kind of discount that factor a little bit. The thing that is encouraging to me about this is that what DeepSeek did do is it created a better mousetrap, and it created a better way of thinking, of training, and it definitely created a cheaper way of doing so, especially in terms of the training data necessary to achieve high outcomes. and the way that the model can teach itself through reinforced learning. These are big breakthroughs. So to me, the story here is that AI overall's potential just got a massive upgrade, that the ceiling rose in terms of what AI can accomplish. I think we'll see a lot of this over the coming years, because this is the sector that's getting the heaviest investment in probably the history of technology. Massive companies chasing everything they can get, putting everything they can put into it. And so I think the big takeaway for me here is that, first of all, it isn't just a large company game anymore. If you accept what DeepSeek said, you don't have to have $50 billion to participate in this market. And I think that will open the AI up to a lot of smaller companies. It will broaden Nvidia, AMD, Intel's customer base quite a bit. And it will bring a lot of new players into this arena. There was a feeling out there before that you needed $50 billion to compete, and you needed to be one of these, 4 to 6 companies with those kind of resources to even compete. Now that's a little bit shattered. I think you'll start to see new entrants into it. I don't see anyone from Microsoft, Oracle, Google, Amazon walking into the offices today and saying, wow, did you see what DeepSeek did? I think we should spend less on AI. I just don't buy that narrative.
Tuesday's pre-market saw a rise in Nvidia shares as investors re-examined the potential effects of a large language model that is far less expensive to construct on the artificial intelligence market. The chipmaker saw a weak recovery in the early session, rising roughly 3%. As the formal market open drew closer, the stock's bounce, which had been considerably larger earlier in the morning, was diminishing. In the largest single-day market cap loss ever, the stock fell 17% on Monday, shaving about $595 billion off the company's capitalization. The Nasdaq Composite fell 3% during Monday's sharp sell-off, which rocked the whole tech sector as traders were concerned that the rise of the Chinese startup DeepSeek might cause an AI stock bubble to explode. Last week, DeepSeek published an open-source model that apparently fared better than OpenAI's in a number of tests. A fraction of the billions of dollars that large U.S. tech companies are spending on AI, the business added. The first iteration of this model cost less than $6 million to develop. Indeed, Nvidia, the industry leader in AI in the United States thanks to its powerful chips, referred to DeepSeek's R1 model as an excellent AI advancement. An Nvidia representative told CNBC on Monday that DeepSeek's work demonstrates how new models can be made using that method by utilizing publicly accessible models and compute that complies fully with export control laws. To stay informed about the latest developments from Nvidia and the ever-changing stock market, consider subscribing to our investing tutorial channel. We provide daily updates on significant market shifts and key catalysts, so hit that subscribe button to ensure you never miss crucial information. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Nvidia stock, so please share your opinions in the comments below. Now let's dive into today's video.
There's so many questions that are still out there for this company, and they may have, in one release, done it cheaper, but what I keep reading, there's no guarantee that the next one's going to be as inexpensive. And then, Andy, in your using common sense, as we like to do on this show, how is an American company ever going to trust their AI to a Chinese company? In what world, with everything we've learned for the last 24, 36 months about Chinese companies and restrictions and how, like Alibaba and Tencent and all these companies, who is going to trust a Chinese AI company? I just don't see it happening, no matter what they can do. Yes. Could it possibly affect prices and put pressure on them to come down lower? Yes. Could it help improve the American companies doing it? Yes. But I don't see American companies switching to this. Do you?
No, absolutely not. I don't think that's a real threat. In fact, I think that as of this moment, DeepSeek has just restricted users to Chinese mainland phones here in the last hour or two. This is something that's going to get clamped down on. I think the big, of course, the big story here is that they supposedly did this for $5.5 million. I don't believe that at all. But again, what I do believe and what they documented really well is that there is a better way to train these models. There's a better way to get them to teach themselves. And that's an extraordinarily bullish signal for the AI sector. That tells us that there is that the limits that we thought were there just a few months ago have already been broken. Again, I think this will happen over and over again. This is the first time it's really happened where you see, a step change in capability, which is, can be really scary. It can reprice some models and some forecasts certainly, but this sector will continue to see step change technological advancements over and over again. Wall Street's going to have to get used to it and going to have to get used to the idea that their models are going to be broken within 3 to 6 months every single time. And so the real question is, are these companies really going to decrease how much they're willing to spend chasing having the best AI because someone in China proved that they could do it better with less? I think the answer is clearly no.
Furthermore, the majority of Wall Street analysts supported Nvidia following the sell-off, thus yet none of them have downgraded the company. The DeepSeek advancements are also viewed by some as a long-term advantage for AI. We believe that investors must distinguish between DeepSeek's possible advantages and disadvantages for the software sector. Gen AI adoption should be easier, and hence faster and broader across the software universe, noted Ramo Lensko, an analyst at Barclays, in response to more potent LLM models that can operate at a fraction of the original cost projections, if proven. Although Joseph Moore of Morgan Stanley maintained his overweight rating on the stock, he did lower his price objective from $160 on Tuesday to $152. Some of the evolutionary AI advancements highlighted in the DeepSeek publication could be deflationary. Nevertheless, he stated that the stock market's response is likely more significant than the reason and may result in additional export restrictions or a decline in consumer enthusiasm for spending. PTs should be trimmed while maintaining a bullish outlook. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.
So funny, Andy. I got chills when you made that mention about trying it out and, what you looked up for with regard to Tiananmen Square. I just did a quick search on ChatGPT to see what it pulled up, and it pulled up a variety of information, including the historical information. So, it shows that OpenAI still has that leadership, at least in terms of informing with regard to diverse information. But I do want to ask you in the context of valuations, because there are some analysts who have argued that the valuations have been stretched within mega cap tech, especially they talk about Nvidia being one of those. What do your channel checks or your data, what does your data show you with regard to what CapEx looks like for Nvidia and the like, and how it compares across the group that you're watching?
Yeah, it's exponential growth for Nvidia. You can see it in the reported expenses of the major companies, how they're forecasting out their CapEx for the next 3, 4, 10 quarters. I think it's very clear that Nvidia has by far the best chip, and that's where the money is going to continue to flow, in my opinion. I like AMD. I think AMD's somewhat muted reaction today is a pretty good indicator that may be an opportunistic play here as kind of the second best in the race. If you don't have to have the very best chips, if you don't have to have the Nvidia chips to accomplish your AI mission, then maybe AMD picks up some business that it didn't even know existed a little while ago. So there's a lot of changes here. I think this is probably, my guess is that this is, Wall Street just taking a breath and saying, okay, have we gotten ahead of ourselves? Let's reset. Let's start to think through these models. I don't think that this is something necessarily that continues to weigh on the market, probably beyond the Fed or next week. I think this is something that is simply a reset of expectations and of models, and just something that Wall Street's going to have to digest and get used to. This is the new reality of the AI space, is that you never know what's coming or where it's coming from.
It's true. You don't, and especially with the pace that they're trying to develop, and if there is a pullback on the U.S. and export controls with regard to chips, I mean, they've already instituted certain.
Jim Cramer of CNBC advised investors to wait and avoid making any hasty decisions on Monday after news from the Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek caused a sharp drop in Nvidia and some of its competitors. He stated that this is not a time to buy or sell. We simply don't know enough about DeepSeek yet, therefore I don't have any opinions. He said that sometimes you have to undertake the most difficult thing in the world. Instead of acting rashly and acting as though we know the answers, we have to wait till we have more information. DeepSeek challenged the long-held belief that big tech would have to pay billions to maintain the newest and best AI models, which caused the tech industry to rise. According to the Chinese startup, its models are less expensive to run and compete with industry favorites like OpenAI. The prospect of a less expensive substitute that would enable computer firms to spend less on graphics chips sent investors into a panic. Shares fell as Wall Street assessed DeepSeek's effect on Nvidia's sales, despite the company dominating the market with its incredibly costly products. In the largest one-day loss in American history, Nvidia's stock was down about 17% by the end of the day, and the business lost nearly $600 billion in market capitalization. Other industries were affected by Nvidia's demise, notably energy companies tasked with assisting in the construction of the massive network of data centers required for AI.